Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Today we will learn a new lesson about Module 2, Unit 4, Communication, Listening, page 46. Open your book, page 46, and listen to me. Pre-listening, discuss. How would you define body language? Body language means لغة الجسد. Body language is how your position and movements show people how you feel or what you think. In your opinion, what do you think? Can body language indicate person's real feelings? Can you think of any examples? Again, in your opinion, can body language indicate person's real feelings? And can you think of any examples? I think yes, body language sometimes indicates person's real feelings when the person's words are actually saying something different. For example, when people are lying, even though their words may be saying one thing, the fact that the person can't look you in your eyes when he speaks. You will hear you will hear part of talk in which an expert is talking about body language. هتسمع خبير بيتحدث عن لغة الجسد. Listen and complete the sentences from 1 to 10. Before listening, open your book, page 46, and read the 10 sentence to know what he say about. عشان تعرف بيتكلم عن ايه وبنتكلم عن ايه، افتح كتابك صفحة 46 واقرأ ال10 جمل قبل الاستماع، بعد كده ابدأ اسمع. طيب. Now listen. This is a transcript. طويل شوية يا شباب، نسمعه مع بعض. Listen.
You will hear part of a talk in which an expert is talking about body language. Listen and complete the sentences 1 to 10.
It's important to realize that communication is not limited to verbal exchanges. When we speak to each other, we convey a number of messages.
Sorry، حصل مشكلة يا شباب، نسمع مرة تانية.
Facial expressions and tone of voice.
Unit 4. 2. You will hear 2. 2. You will hear part of a talk in which an expert is talking about body language. Listen and complete the sentences 1 to 10.
It's important to realize that communication is not limited to verbal exchanges. When we speak to each other, we convey a number of messages using our bodies, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Non-verbal communication or body language can give us an indication of what people are really thinking or feeling by either reinforcing or contradicting what is being said. But body language can be misinterpreted, so I would urge listeners not to jump to conclusions when assessing other people's physical signals. Probably the best way to convey to others what we are feeling is with our faces. Often words aren't even needed when one look or facial expression will do the trick. For example, when we want to show happiness, we smile and our eyes sparkle. When we are surprised, we widen our eyes and our jaws drop open. When we are afraid, our upper eyelids rise, making the whites of the eyes more visible, and our lips become tense. These facial expressions are common to people from all cultural backgrounds, but one should keep in mind the fact that some types of facial expressions differ from country to country. In North America, for example, people blush to show embarrassment. In Japan, embarrassment is shown by laughter or giggling. I'm sure you've heard the expression, the eyes are the window to the soul. There is great truth to this, because our eyes very clearly communicate what we are thinking and feeling. Eye contact is a particularly important element of face-to-face communication. If you want to form a bond with someone, it's vital that you maintain eye contact for at least 60 to 70% of the conversation. According to some studies, when Westerners talk to each other, they make eye contact about 61% of the time, and the average gaze lasts about 2.95 seconds. Remember, though, that in some Asian and South American countries, making eye contact for an extended period of time is frowned upon, because it can make the individual seem rude or hostile. Sometimes people avoid or break eye contact. There are many possible reasons for this. The person might be feeling embarrassed, ashamed, or guilty, or he might be feeling uncomfortable in the presence of the individual he is talking to. Avoidance of eye contact might also be a sign that the person is feeling nervous and wants to avoid a confrontation. Posture is another important indicator of a person's mood or attitude. For example, positive, happy people tend to carry themselves upright, while people who may be sad or bored will often slouch or collapse into their bodies. Another interesting point is that people who are fond of each other often lean in towards each other when engaged in conversation. Of course, it's not just our faces and bodies that communicate our feelings to other people. Very often, we use objects, such as glasses or pens, to send a non-verbal message. For example, people who have been pressured into making a decision and want to play for time will take off their glasses, slowly wipe the lenses, and then put their glasses back on. Sometimes people use sunglasses to hide their eyes and therefore their feelings, and to create a distance between themselves and the person they are talking to. Objects can also be used to make us feel more safe and secure, and to relieve tension. When people feel nervous, they may click a pen or chew on a pencil. People who are anxious might play with their jewelry or fiddle with their clothing. Body language is indeed a fascinating aspect of human communication. It gives us greater insight into other people's thoughts, feelings, and attitudes, and ultimately makes the communication process richer and more rewarding.
Thank you for listening. Now let's display the answers. Re-listening. What do you know about the systems of communication below which were used by different civilizations? Civilization means حضارة. الحضارات المختلفة، كل حضارة مختلفة كانت بتستخدم وسيلة تواصل مختلفة. ماذا تعرف عنها؟ Egyptian hieroglyphics, Sumerian cuneiform, Chinese characters, cave painting, and smoke signals. About Egyptian hieroglyphics, I think they were a formal system of writing that the ancient Egyptians used. It combined alphabetical and logographic. Logographic, which are letters that represented words or units of language. About smoke signals, I think they are a form of communication over long distance. They are considered to be one of the oldest forms of communication in history. Now you will hear about 5 different people talking about ways in which different civilizations communicated. Choose from the list from A to F the statement that best describe each civilization. Use the letters only once. There is one extra letter which you don't need to use. Speaker 1. Listen.
4. You will hear 5 different people. You will hear 5 different people talking about ways in which different civilizations communicated. Choose from the list A to F the statement that best describes each civilization. Use the letters only once. There is one extra letter which you do not need to use. Speaker 1.
Cave paintings made thousands of years ago by prehistoric man were the first real attempts at visual communication. Early artists used 4 basic paint colors: black, white, red, and yellow, to depict various scenes, the subjects of which were usually animals. Experts believe that cave paintings were intended to pass on information to other tribes about the hunting environment. Cave paintings and rock drawings were also used to warn others of potential danger. An example of this is a rock drawing that was found near a steep path in New Mexico. The picture shows a mountain goat standing up, while a man and a horse lie on the ground nearby. The drawing is intended to warn horse riders that the path is too steep for horses.
He talked about pictures and cave paintings.
Speaker 2.
I think is the correct answer.
The world's first writing system was invented by the Sumerians in Mesopotamia in order to keep accurate records of the number of agricultural and manufactured goods that they produced. The Sumerians drew pictures of these items on the surface of wet clay tablets. These pictures were usually of objects such as sheep, wheat, or bread. Gradually, the images evolved into a system of symbols called cuneiform. This writing system, which consisted of about 600 symbols, was used by the Sumerians to create all sorts of documents from contracts and tax receipts to sales records.
Speaker 3.
In ancient Egypt, the written system of communication was called hieroglyphics. This form of writing consisted of picture symbols which represented ideas and sounds. The Egyptians used hieroglyphics for religious purposes and to keep a record of the activities of the royals. Only specially trained individuals called scribes were allowed to use this writing system. At around the same time, the Egyptians developed hieratic writing, a system of writing which could be used for daily communication. This type of writing was a simplified version of hieroglyphics and was used for letters and for keeping records and accounts.
Speaker 4. Written Chinese has no alphabet and is made up of about 50,000 symbols or characters. According to legend, Chinese characters were invented by a man named Zhang Jie, who spent years studying nature and developing symbols that represented the individual characteristics of various plants and animals. The average Chinese person can recognize about 5,000 frequently used characters, which is enough to be able to read a novel or a newspaper. To understand ancient Chinese documents, an individual would have to learn many more characters. Speaker 5.
The many tribes that lived in North America hundreds of years ago all spoke different languages. In order to communicate successfully with each other, the Native Americans developed a sign language system which consisted of numerous gestures and movements. They also used smoke signals to send messages to each other. This involved covering a fire with a blanket and removing it quickly to allow a puff of smoke to rise up into the air. Senders were able to control the size, shape, and timing of the smoke. The puffs of smoke were visible from a great distance, but the messages that were sent were usually very simple and therefore quite limited.
We have finished our lesson. Homework at workbook page 32 and 33 صفحة 32 33 واجب، واللي يحل واجب يا شباب يرسلها على الخاص. هذه عليها درجات، الواجب عليه درجات واجبات. Thank you for watching.